The Road Not Taken by Robert Frost. What do you think the poem is about after reading it for the first time? The Road Not Taken. From the title, it is clear that the poet is speaking about roads and roads which aren't frequently taken. However, is it wishful thinking? Is he wishing he took the road which was taken? Do you like to try out new things? Or do you prefer going back to tried and tested options? When it comes to food, activities, movies, anything. Have you ever made a choice that you regretted later? It could be as small and insignificant as picking one flavor of ice cream over the other. The choice between vanilla and mango perhaps. But have you ever made a choice that is extremely fresh and ended up trying something very unique? You felt adventurous and picked mint milk chocolate instead of your go-to Belgian chocolate ice cream. Or you picked up a book which was a thriller instead of a fantasy one, and now you cannot get enough of Agatha Christie, Famous Five and the likes. Let us look at Robert Frost's choices and see what his thoughts were whilst making the choice. Two roads diverged in a yellow wood. The poet finds himself at the mouth of a forked road in a forest where the leaves have started turning yellow, marking the start of autumn. And sorry I could not travel both, and be one traveller long I stood, feeling a little sorry for himself, for he could not travel both the roads being just one person. He stood contemplating for a while, and looked down one as far as I could, to where it bent in the undergrowth. The poet tried to look as far down one path as he could, until it bent and disappeared into the dense forest. Then took the other as just as fair, and having perhaps the better claim, because it was grassy and wanted wear. Then the poet goes on to judge the other path, which seemed just as good, except maybe that it made a better case for being the path he should choose. Icky, since it was grassier and needed to be walked on more. Though as far for that the passing there had worn them really about the same. But on second thought, maybe both the roads were equally worn in, and both that morning equally lay in leaves no step had trodden black. In fact, he notes that both paths looked untread that particular morning, with leaves on which no one had walked on. Oh, I kept the first for another day. He decides to visit the other path on a different occasion, on a different day. Yet knowing how way leads on to way, I doubted if I should ever come back. But he also realizes that given how one path leads to another, then another, the poet doubts if he will ever come back to the first path. I shall be telling this with a sigh. Somewhere ages and ages hence, two roads diverged in a wood, and I took the one less travelled by, and that has made all the difference. The poet imagines himself reminiscing years later about how he was met with two roads, two choices, and how he picked the one less travelled. Do you think the poet regrets his choice? Or is he satisfied with it? What is the most difficult choice you have made yet? How do you usually make choices? Do you follow your gut? Or make a pros and cons list? Or take the road less travelled?